Yeah, man. Hey, check this out, man. Hey, you on No Cupcake Zone podcast? Hold on, bro. Hold on. You on No Cupcake Zone podcast?
Wait. We're gonna have to do another segment because I'm really, I gotta figure out, what we're specifically discussing. But
no, we're just discussing this notion that you can have your cake and eat it too.
No, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't.
Right. But we
not with someone.
But I'm just saying, it's just why do you think, what I'm saying, Mark, you married, you got kids, and you're doing successful for yourself, you did things the right way. You had a situation early in life that you got over it. But why is there so much pushback from modern women? And they see the evidence, they see how miserable the typical modern woman is, but they still push back. They still want this independence. They still don't want to have let nobody have any agency over them. And they see the results. They see all the evidence that these people are not happy. Why do they continually run into that burning building?
Well, I think for one thing, okay, there's a lot into this. And I'm going to say not for all women, but each person throughout life, each woman have had a different experience as it relates to a relationship with a man or being in a relationship. So some of it, to me, may be issues stimulated back to their childhood, not having a father figure present. So the example is not there in the raising of the home. That's one thing.
Right.
That model is not there. And so here's another thing. If the model is not there and I'm in a relationship with a man who doesn't exemplify that model, then there's dysfunction already from the start.
Wow.
So that's one thing. And then to put the responsibility back, see, part of the responsibility goes back to women, not all women, because I don't want people to say, man, he's talking about all women are this, all women are that. No, sometimes a woman doesn't know who she really is. They don't have the proper identity of who they are as it relates to the relationship, as it relates to their God-given calling based on their vocation, whether it be spiritual or whether it be career-wise. I don't know who I am, and I'm searching, trying to find out who I am as a woman. And to go into a relationship like that with a man who may or may not know who he is, that can create issues. And then not having the proper counseling, marital counseling. I'm not just talking about any counseling, because all people under the umbrella of marital counseling or giving counsel don't always give the proper counsel. Because he's your pastor, because this person is counseling, don't mean that they give good advice.
True that.
Then we got to ask ourselves, are we seeking the proper advice? If I'm a woman, am I seeking the right advice, the proper advice from somebody who solely really cares about me, my family, and a relationship, that's going to tell me right from wrong? Don't sugarcoat it, and don't speak from a platform and a perspective of, yes, independent woman. I can do my own thing. I can pay my own bills. I can do this. I can do that all by myself. It's not designed for you to do it by yourself. It's designed for a man and a woman to work together as a team in a relationship.
Right.
But I ask myself, how do we get to this place to where there's dysfunction? Part of it is, what counsel are we receiving? What information are we receiving from our peers? Is it healthy or is it poison in a relationship? If it's not poison in a relationship, is it poison in me? Because if it's poison in me, now I got this ideology and this mindset going into a relationship that's going to poison and hinder and affect the relationship.
Right.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But also, you got to look at, okay, what trauma do I have? My experience in life have a way of molding and shaping me, have a way of having an effect on the decisions that I make.
Right.
And so I think that's part of it, man and woman.
Right.
But you can't have your cake and eat it too, because for me to have my cake and eat it too, that's a selfish premise and motive, because you're not considering the other person's feelings.
Right.
Whether it be a man or whether it be a woman, I can have my cake and eat it too. That's a selfish premise. That's a selfish motive.
Right.
No, there's something that you cannot do in a relationship because it hurts and affects the other party. But if I love you, then I'm mindful of that.
Right.
As a husband, as a spouse, I'm mindful that, I can't say or do this because it has an effect on my husband. It has an effect on my family.
Right.
And then you can't diminish the role.
Right. You know what?
We don't understand, but some women, you see, some women, I'm not saying all, some women don't understand the God-given role of a man as it relates to the relationship and the man being in the home. So there's dysfunction, there's a disconnect. And unless we have proper counsel, unless we have proper dialogue, unless we have the right healing and the right approach in that thing, there's going to always be tension. There's going to always be dysfunction. Now, I'm going to go spiritual on you for a minute. The Bible says, in a multitude of counselors, there is safety. And a multitude of counselors. So we have to understand that, these relationships, there's more to them. I was talking to a friend of mine, he's a marriage family therapist. And he said many times in the role, the two parties, man and the woman in a relationship, they don't discuss and identify their roles and their needs in the relationship.
Right.
So they ride on this cloud and wave of intimacy and love, and they forget all these other things that are significant in the relationship. But then when you run into an issue or there's a roadblock, there's major problems because we haven't sat down and discussed them thoroughly as individuals, or we don't bring them up because we're afraid that maybe we may lose this person. Maybe they may find somebody else, or maybe it may expose some things in me that I need to work on as an individual. So many times a relationship can work out for the good, even if there's something that may seem like it's bad. It's not necessarily bad. No, this is the area that we need to work on. But
no, I hear you on that, man. I definitely hear you on that one. The thing about it is
I'm not losing.
No. The thing about it is you have there's 60 seconds in a minute. I mean, there's 60 seconds in a minute, there's 60 minutes in an hour, there's 24 hours in a day. There's 365 days in a year. Time is something that's not infinite at all. It's not infinite. Sometimes your time is up. But one of the things that and I see this even through YouTube and all these different spaces, and these guys trying to counsel these women, is for some reason a lot of these women feel like they have all the time in the world, and there's no sense of urgency. I'm gonna go ahead and live my life. I'm gonna live my best life. When I can. And do that. And what that's showing me is, I think a lot of women are intelligent and women are emotional. But I think a lot of women nowadays lack emotional intelligence.
you know what? Let me tell you something. That what you just said is very true, but it's also true for men.
Right.
That goes both ways.
Right.
But you are right. That is really, really important. That goes both ways. That is very, 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 very important.
Like, I'm just saying, it's like, okay, all right, well, I'll give you this, right? You know, some women can convince themselves that, you know, promiscuity, which is a natural turn off for men, and that it triggers them. You know, men don't. I mean, when we see a promiscuous woman, it especially if that woman is associated to us, you know, let it be a family member or somebody that's connected to us, it churns our stomach. It churns my stomach. You know, the promiscuity part of it, right?
Right.
But they a lot of them refuse to accept that we don't view that as a positive thing. We will never view that as. Will some men tolerate it? Yes. Will they ever view it as a positive thing or a badge of honor, like, you know, some of these women try to do? I don't think so. Do you?
I don't think so not for one who I consider somebody who's genuinely seeking
right
a real relationship, somebody who's really you know, wanting to be married and really wanting something in life. There's certain things they're gonna look for, and that being.
But I mean, why I say they're not emotionally intelligent is they can't really emotionally realize that what you see a bunch of guys telling you this is not what we want. We don't want a hoe. We don't want a hoe. There's no evidence of. I mean, you might see some anecdotal, you know, evidence of, you know, maybe one or whatever, you know, promiscuous woman, you know, finding, you know, that place, but it doesn't have. It very rarely happens. You can't. I mean, they have the problem of trying to equate one for all. Just because that one situation happened that you know about doesn't mean the majority of it. I mean, this is one situation. All those 30, 40 other situations, that wasn't able to happen because of their promiscuity. You feel me? It's like they get in the habit of trying to find one situation and trying to, you know, put all their eggs on that, or you know, trying to hedge their bet in all that one situation. You know what I feel? You know what I'm saying?
It begs the question is what are they really? What is the individual? What are they really searching for? What type of attention are they seeking?
They just they.
That's what I.
It's like, no, I have enough time to where I can go ahead and do all these destructive things, rehabilitate myself, and then find what I really want. It's like fear.
Are you taking
It's like fear. I'm scared that I'm gonna miss out and do all the messing up that I need to do in life, and I'm gonna be forced to behave.
Yeah, and the thing that comes to my mind is, you know, what type of fulfillment and joy are you really searching for? And if you're searching for, are you searching for it in the right place? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Are you searching for it in the right place? I think some people, they're looking for fulfillment and joy and thrill, but they're searching for it and they're seeking for it in the wrong place. And because they're seeking for it in the wrong place, that thing which they're seeking for has a great effect on them and will have a great effect on them down the road. And given what you're saying with time, that's huge, because time tells a lot of things. And so, you know,
I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but and I kind of understand it, because there's so many safeguards that's especially in our society that kind of pacifies, you know, all the mess ups. But the thing about it is it's a false sense of reality because they're trying to be like men, and you can't really be men because when men have mess ups, right? They don't get mulligans. They don't get a safety net. When we have mess ups, there's real consequences. You might find when we mess up, you find yourself giving time to the state or giving your money to the state, right? There's no safety nets that we have really. If we go out and be reckless, we got to hold our own nuts. We're on our own, right? If you, as a woman, young woman, you go out and be reckless, guess what? You got Section 8, you got the state, you got the food stamp, you got the child support system, you got all these different mechanisms in place. You got these choices. Oh, you know what? You got the adoption system, you got grandma, you got auntie, you got all these different safety nets that's going to pacify your behavior.
I was speaking to a gentleman last year, a few months ago, and some of the things that you just brought out, he mentioned that's why he don't want to commit to a relationship and get married, because that's one of his concerns and fears, which I understood his premise because he had friends of his and even loved ones that been through things like that. And, they get taken for a ride financially, emotionally, in other areas of their lives. And, I understood where he was coming from. And, the thing I was looking at, well, don't let that be the thing that keeps you from a good woman, because all women are not that way, though the way the system is, it does affect men in a great way. But there are good women out there, but because of the norm and because of how society has set certain system and laws in place that have greatly affected men, and he experienced these things personally, there's a fear, there's a barrier of him committing to a real relationship.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's a whole different dynamic. 50 years ago, grandma was, grandpa, grandma was emotional, you know what I'm saying? She decided, you know what? I don't like grandpa no more. Guess what, grandma? I don't care if you don't like grandpa. You got this whole family you got to take care of. So you got to learn to like grandpa again. You know what I'm saying? You can't just decide. But now we're in a dynamic that soon as, grandma doesn't like grandpa, she can be like, well, I'm out. I'm gone. Let me go get me another grandpa. And then another one. And another one until I find the grandpa that I want. 50 years ago, they were stuck with that original grandpa. You see what I'm saying? But now they can they can decide what at any moment that they're not happy with grandpa, they don't like grandpa no more, and go.
Yeah, I think now the way things are, if we're talking about marriage and relationships, you have to look at a lot of different things as it relates to that legally.
Right.
And I think the way things are set up, it has men on caution and on guard about a lot of things and committing to a relationship, because things could be good for a while and then things can go bad. And
you
have no control.
The thing about it is like, and let me, I'm being very, very, very simple when I say this. It's like,
right.
A dude would think of marriage. You know what? At least when I go home, I'm gonna have a decent meal. I'm gonna have a clean house. I'm gonna have somebody that I can talk to tell all my problems to or whatever, and then they're gonna,
Yeah.
But now on the norm, that's way too much to ask. That's too much to ask. It's too much to ask. I mean, and then at the same time, I want you to bear my children.
Okay.
Nurture them. Take care of them. Support me at the same time. That's way too much to ask.
Yeah. And it goes back to this, as you're saying, that makes me think about this. You know, when you first meet that person, you know, what type of dialogue and conversations are y'all having about the very same things that you're mentioning now? See, I think that's so important. You know, what are the steps that we're taking on the front end? What are we discussing in the relationship?
Yeah, I mean,
specific because.
But we haven't talked about the poison factor yet. We haven't talked about the poison factor. You might get legitimately the real person up front, not their rep, but you know, once they start broadcasting their information, you have, you know, people around them that are either not happy or, you know, are not happy and they want to they want to give them poison. And when they start giving them poison, I mean, you're doomed.
Now, when you say poison, we reference that as some bad counsel or negative counsel, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. That can have an effect on your relationship. I think it's important who you keep in your corner.
Right.
You know, who you listen to.
Right.
There was times where, you know, I've been given bad counsel and information, and I'll reference that with a good friend or somebody who's a well-trusted source. Hey, let me run this by you. I was talking to so-and-so, and we were discussing A, B, and C, whatever the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And that person says, well, I can see it from this premise, but I wouldn't say or do this because it may affect your relationship in this way. Now, bad poison, negative counsel, information that's given not to help, information that can hinder or destroy. See, good information, good counsel don't necessarily have to come by men. Sometimes it comes by good women who are real women that love their husband, love their family, and don't stand for foolishness. I receive good counsel from real women who love their family, love their spouse, love their children. It hasn't always come by men, and some of the worst counsel that has been given have came from some men, and it poisons and it destroys. So I want to put that out there because we're just referencing the information and the counsel that we're getting and how it can affect relationships. So we have to keep that in mind as well.
Right.
You know, I've had some people say, hey, you know, I wouldn't say this to do this because this is how it may affect, this is how it can affect a woman in this way.
Right.
But it was good counsel not to hinder, hurt, or destroy my marriage or relationships I had with other people. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I agree that if you're receiving poison, negative counsel, bad counsel, information that's not helpful or good for the relationship, yes, it will have a great effect on you. It will have a great effect on your relationship because those seeds can be planted in your mind, and now you're thinking about that thing, you're acting on that thing, you're responding on that thing, and now your relationship has taken a total different turn.
Hey man, you're listening to No Cupcake Zone podcast, man. I had to turn this on, man. I got my good friend Mark on the line. You already know what it is, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? AKA, hey, the truth. Hey, you know, you're still in in the backwoods right now, chasing them hogs and shit. You know. Anyways,
Hey, look at here. We living good up here.
Yeah,
man.
man.
You got to worry about nothing to eat.
Hey, for real.
If I want to go slaughter a hog, I can go back down the woods with my shotgun. If I want to shoot up a few rabbits, I can do that too. And we got the best water in the world.
What?
I want to let that know to viewers. Yes, sir. Spring water, that is. You know what I'm saying?
Crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let me say this to your viewers and people who are listening. You know, I don't want to get on here, but I think it's important for any and everybody. It don't have to be relationships with marriage, but just relationships or just business. It's information in general. It's good to seek wise counsel when you're dealing with the affairs of life. Whether you be married or not married, it's good to seek wise counsel.
Right.
That's what I want to leave with the listeners. And I haven't always made the best decisions because I've accepted and received the poison and moved and acted on the poison and had to deal with the consequences.
Right.
But thank God for those people out there, real women, real men, that can give you, some good counsel that's going to be real with you to help you out. So I just wanted to say that, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Man. It's always a blessing.
Hey, no, for sure, man. I mean, I had to turn this on, man, because, somebody's going to listen to this, man, and be like, damn, bro. Somebody else in my position, man. And I reached out to Mark, man, when I was going through it, and we came from a similar circumstance. We grew up with a 2-parent household. He had been through it years before. You know what I'm saying? He had had a marriage that didn't survive, and he had a child separation, the same thing. So he gave me a lot of counsel, and thank God, me and him, we connected when we did. We hadn't talked for forever, since high school and stuff like that. We chopped it up a couple times before, but anyways, and I say this to say this. I mean, Mark helped me out a lot, and the thing about it, Mark was one of the first persons that kind of wasn't resistant to what was going on, because a lot of people I talked to, basically, I guess they remember that trauma and they didn't want to relive it. So they didn't really want to talk about it. And Mark had been to a place to where he was happy. He had a new foundation and everything. He was willing to share, all the pitfalls, and he was healed. You know what I'm saying? He was healed. It took him a long time to do it. And the reason I mention that is make sure that if you do seek counsel, seek it for somebody that's truly been healed or is willing to. Yeah. It's not going to tell you up front that just get over it, man up, and all this type of stuff. Nah. When you have that approach, I mean that's just a defense mechanism. Because Mark even said this. I remember you were telling me there was a guy that told you that you were telling them that you were going through a divorce, and he was like, "Man, I feel sorry for you." Wasn't the cop you said that told you that?
Yeah, he met me at my home, and he was telling me that, man, I mean, I didn't understand it, but he'd been through it, and he said, "Man, I feel sorry for you, man. You're gonna really go through something." I didn't quite understand that because I was in the beginning phases of it, but as time passed, I began to go through some things, and that was a reflection on my mind. And so, but it's very important, going back to what you said, that the healing process is very important.
Right.
Not just for the man, but the healing process is important for the woman, the man. If you have any children involved, it's important for the children as well. So it can't be viewed from a perspective of just me. If you have kids involved, then those kids need to be nurtured. Those kids need to be protected. They still need to be taken care of. That's what's important, is that all parties heal the right way, but you got to be willing to heal. You got to be willing to accept your wrongs, your faults. You got to be willing to do it in such a way that you're trying to move on the right way.
Right.
And many times people, they don't go through the healing process the right way. They deal with a lot of bitterness. They deal with a lot of anger. They deal with a lot of hate, regret, and they take all of that with them into a new relationship, and other areas of their lives, and it affects them tremendously. And so it's important that you go through the process the right way and get the right help. And that's just not dealing with relationships. That's with any type of hurt.
Right.
And, a lot of times us as men, we have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Women have pride too. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do this. I ain't got to do this. I ain't got to do that. I can do my own. No. All that's not helpful, and it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your kids. It's not healthy for your family. You got to go through the healing process the right way and get the right help in order to move forward in your journey in life, whether you seeking marriage or not. It's the right thing to do.
Right. I mean, but the thing about it is that pride, that that tough exterior, that I can do it. I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, why do so many people fall victim and stand in their own way? Mark.
I think part of it is part of it is not being willing to accept the responsibility that you played a part in the relationship. You were wrong too. So for me, I had to look myself in the mirror and say, you know what? It wasn't just the other party's fault. It was my fault too. Even if I did things ignorantly and didn't know.
Why is it so hard for people to see the bigger picture when you have a marriage? It's a union between two people. If one person falls short, the whole thing collapses. Yeah. It's like it failed. There's no win. Nobody gets a win out of this one.
Right.
But why do some people feel like, I mean, you're not a counselor, so I just try to get that question. I'm like, man, you know what? The whole thing failed. There is no victory.
No, there's, I think in some cases, I can't speak for all because everybody's situation may be different. I think sometimes individuals are drawn away. They're drawn away by the other side. Well, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, things will get better and things are better if I make this decision. And so they're tempted and they're enticed by another lifestyle. They're tempted and enticed by, not being married, but being by themselves and living a single life and thinking things will be better. In some cases, that's what it is. Some people don't want to continue on. They want out.
Right.
They want out. They don't want to have anything to do. They're tired. And they think things would just be better if they just end the marriage. In some cases, that's what happens. That's how people really, really feel. I know of some cases that way. And sometimes, people who are still married feel that way. They just haven't made the decision, and that's the time where, hey, you need help. I think that's, my thing is, before you kill the relationship or end it, my thing is, have you exhausted all measures to get the help you need to try to save? You see what I'm saying?
I get that part, but it's more, I can't wrap my head around the delusion where you have an emotional creature that naturally seeks companionship, naturally seeks some type of protection provider in that. That's what they naturally seek, but yet what's coming out their mouth is totally something different. And that's almost delusional because there's no science that tells us any different. Like for instance, when you have, I'll get, and I'll break this down from a scientific standpoint, right? Like a woman feels like she can be promiscuous, right? be a promiscuous woman, basically do the same thing that men do. But they're not really built like that. It has long-term ramifications when they do engage in those type of behaviors. But for some reason, a lot of them feel like they're the ones that can defy the odds. And I just don't get that delusion, though. Because, okay, I'll give you an example. Science tells you, all right, if you were designed as a woman to have multiple sex partners, why do you have only 1 month? I mean, why can you only have one baby, or maybe get pregnant one time every 9 months? Hello?
Could it be that people have certain desires?
Right, but I'm just saying, if you were designed to to be, I would think that you could have. I mean, you could you could conceive or whatever multiple times a year, but you can only have it once. I mean, you can't have 2 babies in a year unless they're twins or quadruplets or whatever, right? It defies science.
You mean the natural order of things?
Right.
What God has called you to as a woman.
Right. But you know what? Maybe that is because there's always an unintended byproduct of certain technologies and advances like birth control and those type of things. Maybe that's what it is. This is the unintended byproduct that we're getting. It's like this delusion.
The effect that it has.
Right. This delusion.
Yeah.
And this delusion of grandeur or just, I guess it's just downright entitlement.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors, man, that I think affect men and women in particular.
Right.
I think that's why it's so important. The home is so important to a family, man.
Right.
I think it's so important. It's so important, man. How you raise your family, how you raise your kids.
Right.
And sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes we make mistakes, and I think during those times you have to, do your best to work within the resources and help that's given to you to correct things and to get things right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you got to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
conversation in this discussion is another way to help in those areas, because if whoever's listening, they'll be able to point out some things. Some things may trigger their mind, or they may have something to share or say.
Right.
They may call you and say, "Hey, I want to go on do a session with you about this. This is how I feel. This is what has happened to me." And so, I think many times I think we just don't talk about it, or we don't have conversations about a thing. And, you just go with thinking that, hey, this is this way, this is that way. And having another perspective, whether it's from a man or a woman, or giving basis to the situation and circumstance, I think sometimes we begin to understand things a little clearer.
Right.
Because now we're not looking at it from our perspective or angle. Even though these things may stand to be true based on what we're talking about. But we can always say, okay, well, this is why that person made that decision. This is why they did it. That's interesting.
Right.
I thought it was this. Mm-hmm. But you realize in conversation and dialogue like we're having, man, that's what happened. This is why they did it.
Right.
And I think that's part of it. I could be wrong.
Right. No, it's crazy. I mean, I had to put this up there because I had to put this conversation up here because it might help somebody in the future. Because the thing about it is like especially in particular with the subject. There's so much false bravado. There's so much hurt, just like people wear a shield, and a lot of times you don't really get the truth. And the thing about it is like this whole process can easily get marginalized, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is it huh?
No, I said you're right. People do have shields up.
Right.
You know, they do. They don't.
And the thing about it is one thing I was very, 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 very and I was very naive. It was like and I hate to say, I mean, I should have seek counsel and someone that's been in that same position, maybe in that same position as a male. That's what I should have did.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is if you do,
important.
it's very important to do. Because the thing about it is like, I'll give you an example. If you do talk to some women, right, especially the women that were the ones that were the agents of, a broken marriage. You know what I'm saying? When I say agent, she was the one that kind of did it, right? There's a lot of defense. There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of pushback. Because the thing about it is they don't even do it on purpose, but because the pain is so deep, the guilt is there, they will steer you off course. So they will, I mean, very rarely you'll get like genuine or good counsel from them because the pain is so deep. They rather just steer you off course to kind of almost save themselves,
Right.
Because think about it. If you had to deal with a lot of that guilt too, would you really want to talk about it?
I think,
to be honest,
nobody naturally. I think none of us want to talk about, our flaws, the bad decisions we made, or what we contributed to anything that made the situation go south or go bad. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to deal with that. Let's just be honest. You know what I mean? But if you're saying that I want to go through this healing process and I want to get better,
right?
Then you have to go through it. I mean, that's part of the process, and I think that's why it's so important to have the perspective of a woman who's been through it and a woman who's willing to help those other women work through those challenges. It's important that you have both parties. It's important because some people do hold up a wall, going back to what you said, and that can affect a lot of areas of their life, not just relationships. It can affect their jobs. It can affect their relationship with other family members. You see what I'm saying? This thing really runs deep, going back to what you said. So it's not good to marginalize it. It's not good. I don't think it is.
But some of the stuff that I be hearing, it almost sounds like it's a blind leading the blind.
Oh, it is.
Huh?
It's for men too. You get it both ways. It's the blind leading the blind for women, the blind leading the blind for men. You get both ends, brother. But I do agree with you. It is.
Yeah.
That's very true. And
But but the thing about it is the only counsel that a lot of us have access to is like counsel from like this pro matriarchal structure. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have, like it's basically like pro single mother. Like, I mean, I'm just keeping it bare bones. Like pro independent women, pro I can do whatever I want to do. Even the men fall on that side. A lot of the men I see fall on that side. And I think a lot of times it's because of lack of male leadership. It's like almost male leadership resistant.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I was talking to a friend of mine. She was, talking about this thing. And it is a lack of male leadership. So for me, I know given a circumstance and situation and my role, I'm gonna do my best to try to lead brothers right. If they wrong, I'm gonna like, hey brother, I love you. You wrong about how you said what you did in your approach. Because I want the brother to move on in life and thrive and be good. I want his family to prosper.
Right.
So I don't want him to just continue in life with this ideology and mindset that this okay when I know it's sending him down the wrong road. So you are right. As men, we have to be, we have to be good leaders. And a lot of men, and whoever's listening, some brothers may feel some kind of way, but a lot of us got to step up in some areas too.
Right.
And I feel that by having this conversation and this discussion in this venue, that's what we're doing. That's part of it. Part of leading and part of being a man is being willing to talk about it, even if it's bad.
Right.
Even if it hurt my feelings, even if it's uncomfortable. Yeah, if you're wrong, you're wrong. So we do got to step up in a lot of areas. Because I've had women tell me, if men would just do this, and this, I don't understand why men this, and this. And I wonder, now I could have been in my feelings like, wait a minute, you attacking men. What's wrong with you? But I was humble enough to listen to the sister and the sister and say, hey, they got a point. They coming from a perspective of emotion that they experience some things and they've been hurt. There's been a lack of leadership with men that step up. That's why, given where you are, man, I'm commending you. Because I've seen some men in situations where they fold and break. It turn them bad. They turn to alcoholism. They turn to drugs. Their whole life is ruined. You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that we can't allow to happen. We got to uphold one another as brothers. You see what I'm saying? If we wrong, we wrong. But as brothers, we pick each other up. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We encourage one another to do better.
Right.
And I agree with you on both points. I do. We have to do better. And I think having these conversations, to me, that's part of it. We have to do more of that. But I think it has to be done in a safe space and environment where people can feel comfortable. I think that's why some people don't want to talk about it, because they don't feel. If I'm not in a safe environment, in a safe and comfortable place, why would I open up to you?
Right.
Why would I discuss something with you? You see what I'm saying? Because now I feel like, you know what, you're out to hurt me, you out to get me. You really don't have my best interest. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody gonna open up to anybody in an environment like that.
Right.
And so the good book says, he who desires to have a friend must first show himself friendly. So we got to show ourselves friendly. Right. To these brothers, to these sisters that may be hurting, that may need help. But I do agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And men, a lot of men got to step up. It's a big responsibility on the men. And I'll be the first to jump on that mountain and say, hey, I'm going to do my part. And if I'm not, Johnson, you help me. If I'm not, viewers and listeners, hey, y'all call me on something, help me. Mm-hmm. I ain't got all the answers. I don't always get it right. But, I know I'm fighting for a good cause. Right. I'm fighting for a good cause, you know what I mean? And so we got to talk about it. We can't put a wall up and tuck and hide and run like it's not there. We can't do that. If we do that, we losing the fight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy how when you get to a point of a certain I guess a kind of a moment in clarity in life. There's certain moments in clarity in life. And when I was I had my son yesterday, right? And the feeling, being with my son and hanging out with my son and just doing things with my son, watching him grow. I took him over to the Guitar Center yesterday and had him bang on some drums, and he was like loving playing the piano, guitar. You can just tell he was just having, the time of his life. I took him to the park, and, he just running around the park, and he was just happy, and it was such a wonderful feeling. I was like, man, you know what? I always thought to myself, man, you know what? I don't want to have kids until later in life. I was like, man, knowing what I know now, I probably would have tried to have kids when I was like 25, 26, just because I just know the enrichment that they bring. But the popular thought and theory now is like you're supposed to keep waiting and waiting and waiting until you're financially secure, you're this, you're that, before you have children. You basically the most fertile years of your life you're supposed to skip and wait to the most non-fertile years of your life, which doesn't make any sense. Because you're more financially stable. What do you think about that?
I think it depends on where you are in life, your goals. One of the things that me and my wife are working with our kids on, are their goals. What kind of goals that they have in life. After finish school, as they open a business. And then if you desire to be in a relationship, then you got to see, okay, who is this person? What do they believe? What do they have good going for themselves? I asked one young man, he asked me about a relationship, and I'm just staying in line with what I'm talking about as far as getting into a relationship and having kids. I asked him, she has this, and this. She has a job. There's a child involved. She has her own place. As a man, I said, what do you have in place? Do you have your own car? Do you have your own insurance? Do you have your own bank account? What do you have? You see what I'm saying? So I think we have to look at where we are in life. Some people finish school early. They get good paying jobs, and man, they need a nice spouse. And man, they have kids. They can afford to do those things. I don't think that's a bad thing. Some people want to wait because they have other aspirations, goals, and dreams in life. You know what I mean? I don't think you can really go wrong either way in the sense of what you have outlined for your life and what you want to do. Some people wait later on in life. Some people want to have kids early. I just think that, given the responsibility that you do have kids, it's important.
But Mark, it sounds great to do that. But why is it so? But why so many people, when they get to the point where they can't have that life anymore, they live in like this purgatory?
You mean when they can't have a life where they fulfill their goals?
No, they was like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to, I want to have a career. I want to be this and I want to be that. And then they turn 45, 50, and they're like, oh my God, what did I just do? Now I can't, I don't have a husband. I don't have a wife. I don't have any kids.
Right.
I'm miserable. I'm alone.
So they missed the train. So
right. I got all this money, but I can only take so many trips. I'm just, oh my God. I'm just, I can't really find nobody. And you see it all the time. Like, this thing. And they were forewarned a long time ago. This is what might happen. But they kept looking past it and thought they were going to be the exception to the rule. They thought they can turn that leaf at 35 and find that thing, just because they passed up a whole bunch of opportunities in their younger day, right? They had that opportunity when they were 25 or 26 to get married and to have kids and stuff like that. But they felt like they needed to do more. And then, 10, 15 years later, they're regretting it. We see this all the time.
Yeah. And for some people, they honestly thought that was the right thing for them to do at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then realizing, wait a minute, I should have made this decision, that decision along the way, and now I wind up here. All of us have done that to some degree in our life. So I think for some, they honestly thought that they were doing the right thing for their lives at the time. And for some, to me, they didn't follow, they didn't listen, they didn't take heed to the warning or the counsel they was given. They just went on.
Right.
Brother, I got to wrap up. I got to go.
Yeah, man. But anyways, man.
Opportunity to share.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I got to have you back on here again to chop it up with me, man. You already know.
Yeah, I just want to say to the viewers, people who listen, if you need help, don't wait. Get help. Get the help you need.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people wait to the last minute to get the help that they need, whether it's marital counseling, whether it's financial advice and counseling, whether it's just dealing with self. Don't let things get bad and wait to the last minute. And I'm just speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a perspective of one who waited times in my life, and you know what? You know, paid the price for it. So don't sit around when you have the opportunity to get help. Okay? If you need help, get the help you need. If it's psychological and mental help, get the help you need. If you need somebody to talk to them. If you need financial advice and counseling, don't wait. Get the help you need before it's too late, whatever it is. And I'm just speaking from a perspective of somebody who loves you, who wants the best for you, wants you to prosper in all things. But don't wait. Don't wait. A lot of times we wait too long and things just get out of hand. And in some cases, it may be too late. So, man, Johnson, I appreciate you having me on.
Sure, man. Anytime, man. Anytime, man. Man, you provide good advice and counsel, man. I got to give that to you, man. For sure, man.
Yeah, you do the same too, man. Hey, this time you shared some things with me, man, on a lot of different levels. I don't have all the answers. Don't claim to have all the answers. I need help just like the next person. I'm just trying to make it through this life, man.
Right.
And do well for my family and others.
Yeah, man. Anyways, man, again, Mark, man, thank you again, man, for coming on No Cupcake Zone. Putting the putting that knowledge out there, through experience and stuff like that. We need more of you brothers like you, sharing the information, not on from one side or hidden agenda or anything like that. It's just like just solid information,
Yeah, I get help, man. I got mentors in my life. I call them up.
Yeah.
And I don't know all things. I got people that I lean and depend on too about things. So,
right.
I think that the thing is that, I think many times we just don't talk about it. And this venue is one way to do it. It may be one-on-one. Yesterday, I had a lunch meeting with a good friend of mine. His father passed away. He played a significant role in my mother-in-law life spiritually, and we had lunch together. And, we talked about life, family, business, and we talked about spirituality. We had a 2-hour meeting. Real good conversation, down to earth. He's helping me with some things.
Right.
I was helping him with some things. Some things I don't know. So I say, man, I'm going to call Johnson because I know Johnson is well versed in this area. Johnson, I done spoke to you on some things. I'm like, wow, man, this dude a powerhouse. I didn't realize he knew all that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so, we're supposed to be here to help one another make it through our life.
For sure, man. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation right there, though. The grieving process, man. I mean, that's a tough one, man. That ranks right up there, man. That ranks right up there with when you go through a separation and divorce. But that whole grieving process, man. The part of it that's so confusing is like the death part of it. When you bury them and all that. That's quick and easy. That's very quick and easy. It's the little things that come out like over the years.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. That's the unexpected issues that come out that you don't see coming, that you never ever thought you had to deal with. When you find yourself like, what I'm saying? Because I was like when you find yourself alone, and you used to have your mother, your mother can comfort you. She can tell you some kind words. She can ease your spirit, and you come to the realization, no, you ain't never gonna get that again, never. Ain't nobody can provide that shit to you. That is part of the grieving process where you just don't understand. Like when it hits you, you're like, dang. You know, my mother used to, give me unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? There was no requirement. There wasn't no conditioning. There was no conditions. Like, and then when you realize that you're never ever going to receive that again, that's a tough pay. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow right there. And that's part of the grieving process that nobody talks about, nobody sees, nobody. It's like you and then you sit there and you thought you dealt with everything. Oh man, this was fast, and this was fast. I'm over it now. I'm good. I can move on with my life. And then you're like, oh no, oh boy,
yeah,
oh man, yeah, man. But we're that's another topic, man. That's another topic. I can go on about that one, man. that is crazy.
Real.
No, it's a very real thing, man. And the thing about it is it's so unpredictable.
Right.
It's so unpredictable because when you lose, like say for instance, when you lose your father, that might be fast and quick, and you grieve, for the month or the couple weeks at a time or whatever, and then you think you're over it, and then some of these lessons that you have to learn that your father could have helped you through, or your father could have told you, huh? Providing you guidance and stuff like that. And then you're like, man, you know what? The guy that made me, that would give me genuine advice, I'm never going to get that again. Mm-hmm. That's a I mean, it's not a dark place, but that's a really humbling place.
Yeah, that's why it's important to give people their flowers while they living and bless them while they living.
Right.
Don't wait till the last minute, man. While you have time, call people, check on them. I got two of my friends, one's 70 and one's 86, man. Both of them are like my spiritual mentors, good friends of mine. I go visit with them, I call them, I talk to them, because I don't know when it's going to be their time. Hey, we don't know when it's going to be our time, but
right.
While people are living, go visit them, check on them, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Bless them, give them a gift, let them know that, hey, you love them and what they meant for you in your life. Don't wait till folks die and then be speaking over their life, at a funeral or something. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Do it now while they're living.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, man. I definitely feel what you're saying. It's just, there's different aspects of life, man, that I guess you'll never be prepared for. I mean, I guess there's no way to prepare yourself for some of the stuff that you go through, and I realized, even going through my divorce and everything, my significant other, she still got her parents, and and a lot of her family members around her, and her structure around her. And I had to stop myself. I was like, man, she really doesn't really understand grieving yet.
That grieving process is real, man.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's very, very real.
Right.
And we all deal with it differently, man.
Right.
Oh man, we deal with it differently.
Right.
And it's so important it's so important to handle yourself carefully when you're going through a grieving process.
Right.
Very, very important.
No, it's very important. And you know what? And I was just like, I was like sitting there thinking, I was like, why is she acting this way? Why is she acting this way? I can't, she can't really even put herself to understand what I'm going through right now, given my circumstance. I was like, whoa. I was just like, I had to take a step back. I was like, oh, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She doesn't understand that when, you lose your mother, You lose your father. Now you're losing your family. You know, that right there in itself, you know, those 3 losses in itself in a lifetime. Huh?
That can devastate a person.
That can tremendously. What? And you had to go through that.
And I thank God for being friends.
Right.
I thank God for people because I had people checking on me. People calling me, you need anything, you know what I'm saying? So with me going through all of that process, I say, you know, God, I'll be that for somebody else who's going through it.
Right.
It's only right. There's no way you're going to go through this life and make it on your own and just, no, it's not. It's the, you know, God ain't designed it that way. We're all here for a reason. And when somebody's going through something, grieving or loss, you know, you do all your best within your power to be there for them and to help them out. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing. Depression,
right,
grieving, and all that. That's a real. That is very real. Especially lose your mom and dad and lose a relation, your family through a divorce. That's hard.
Bro, I mean, those prior 2 occurrences sometimes sinks people's ships. You know what I'm saying?
It sinks it to them. Yeah, I mean, it could. It's a devastating thing, man. That's real trauma. That's
right.
Emotional trauma. That's real.
Right.
And that's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. So that's why when people are going through things like that, man, I got a heart and a love for people who go through things like that, because being in that place, that's a very difficult thing.
Right.
I mean, you fighting for your life many times, you know what I mean? And then if you got kids involved, that's a whole nother layer. Because nobody want to see their kids hurt. Nobody wants to see their kids hurt. Nobody wants to see their kids suffer.
No.
Nobody.
No, nobody wants to see that at all. And like in the what I had to realize is you know, because she didn't experience those losses, there's no way that she can see anything through my lens, you know?
Right.
You know, when he used to, you know, when I used to drop him off, and he would, you know, cry and be real upset, and you know, and I look at her, she just brush it off. Oh, you know, no big deal. I was like, no big deal, because the thing is like, you know, I experienced loss before, you know what I'm saying, where I was like, you know, like when I saw my father, when I saw my father and my mother, there was no coming back from that. So it affects me a little bit different, you know?
Yeah.
And I can, yeah. But if you haven't went through that experience, you don't know. So you kind of almost like, you know, no big deal. Yeah. And
I got an important call.
Okay. All right, man, for sure, man. No, I'll let you go, bro. Great conversation, man.
I appreciate the call, man. You
great
today, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, no doubt, man. For real, great conversation, man.
All right,
man. Be easy. That was Mark, man. Man, we went a little bit long, but we were getting deep in the conversation. It's your boy Triple BLACK. Hey, man, I'm about to be out here. Hey, I might be back on a little bit later to do another stream. You know, we just putting together some content and shit like that. You know, I felt, you know, bored today while I'm doing some work. You know, some of my favorite content creators are not doing anything. Well, my favorite, your boy. Shout out to your boy Platinum Elite. Check out his channel, man. Great shit, man. He be doing them streams, man. We be getting on it. You hear me? But anyways, man, holla at your boy. I'm out.